Hello everybody, it's me, Waddles. So earlier this week I was on Twitter, except this time I saw something interesting. In the replies to a Prowl tweet, I saw King B-Dogs talking about features versus parity. This got me thinking about it. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Java Bedrock parity, specifically in regards to the 1.18 update. So remember, real ones leave a like, great ones subscribe, and the best ones of all time join the notification gang. Enjoy the video, throw your take on this debate down below. Prowl, the universe, planet Earth. This video concept right here. It all began from Prowl. Earlier this week, Prowl shared a ToyCat video that talked about feature parity. In case you don't know, Prowl is another Minecraft creator. A great guy, aside from his mending boat takes, highly recommend the content. One of Minecraft's developers, you might have heard of him by now, King Bean B-Dogs, replied to Prowl's tweet talking about feature parity. Version parity comes in steps. It's our biggest mission, but it will not be an overnight effort. Wink. It is too optimistic to both create whole new content as big as we're making, while also having perfect parity very quickly. There are always trade-offs, just as IBX says. So the question, as always, is do we make much less content to get things in parity immediately, or do we do it slowly so that we have both content and parity, just not as fast? Personally, it's not for me to answer which one is better, but I respect the difficulty of such a decision. So, which is better? Parity or features? Haha, we caught you. We have you surrounded. Hands up. Yeah, you're caught. It was a trick question, actually. Between version parity and features, neither one is exactly better, but which one should be prioritized? Should Minecraft and Java be the same, or should they have more features and be the same later? Do we make much less content to get things in parity immediately, or do we do it slowly so we have both content and parity, just not as fast? That's the question right there that started this video. So I figured the best way to do things for today's video is to break things out into sections: parity pros, feature pros, parity con, feature con. To keep everything clean and balanced, and to make sure this video doesn't get too long, I came up with 3 major pros for parity and 3 major pros for feature. We'll start with parity. So version parity. Today we're talking about 1.18, but really this could kind of apply to any update. Here are some of the pros of having parity in an update right from the start. Minecraft is Minecraft. Yeah. You heard it here. That's right. Minecraft is the same game. If the same game is the same game, pretty abstract here, the same game should have the same features. It definitely happened to me all the time before I locked myself in my basement and started playing this game 24/7 and making videos doing it. All of the time, I would see a feature in somebody's video and be like, hey, that's pretty sweet.
Let me try that out in my game. I would go to my game, and it wouldn't work.
Oh yeah, an important detail. I played on PS3 at the time. Most of the time, that discovery was a gigantic letdown, huge frown. Minecraft Bedrock is Minecraft. Minecraft Java is Minecraft. If Minecraft is the same game, it should have parity. It only makes sense. The second parity pro here comes with a little bit of an assumption. It is assumed that Bedrock Edition is missing the feature. Java has the feature. Why is it that way? I don't know, but that's just how it is. For example, banner maps. For a long time, like honestly, I think since the 1.13 update, maybe it was 1.14, you probably know, but for a very long time, Java maps have been better. On Java, if you have a banner, a map, and something you'd like to mark, easy, not a problem at all. Place the banner down, use the map on the banner, and that thing is marked. It's simple. It's also pretty cool because you can name the banner and then the name shows up on the map. It's a super cool feature. There are a lot of features on Java that Bedrock doesn't have, which is kind of funny because statistically, Bedrock Edition is the more played game, so you would think it would have all of the really cool features. But it doesn't. The second huge pro to having parity between the two versions in 1.18 is the fact that Bedrock Edition is more played. Most likely, if we're talking about upcoming features, at least based off of the progress that we've seen in the experimental snapshots and the real snapshots so far, Java Edition is getting things first. If 1.18 drops in perfect parity, then Bedrock Edition, the more played version of the game, has all of the features. Assuming King B-Dogs in this initial tweet is talking about getting content in the Java Edition slowly and then doing parity later. The final biggest reason the parity should be prioritized is pretty straightforward, and it's huge. Imagine coming to the game nowadays, new. Minecraft is a way bigger game than it used to be like, say, 5 years ago, especially 8 years ago. If you're new, approaching this game that is now kind of massive, a brand new update drops, and then like half of it is missing on your version of the game, that might be kind of confusing. If there's a new mechanical feature, like say the skulk sensor, and it behaves exactly identical on Java, on Bedrock, it's way easier to understand for new players and for long-term players. How I see it, it's not even close. This last reason is the biggest reason that parity should be prioritized by far. It will make things way easier to understand going into the future. Now the other team. More features now, parity later. The biggest pro, by far, of more features now is more features now. In the context of 1.18, let's make an example. Let's say the warden is completely finished right now on Java. Let's also say that there's this super interesting warden mechanic, but for whatever reason, it's just really hard to get in on Bedrock Edition. The coding is different, the functionalities are different. Should Java Edition lose out on this really interesting warden functionality just because Bedrock can't handle it or Bedrock can't keep up? I don't know. I mean, I do know. I definitely know, but I'm not going to say my take until the end. So, yeah, if features can get added to one version of the game much faster than the other version of the game, why slow that version down? Why hold it back? I mean, I don't know. I don't work at Microsoft or anything, so what do I know? But, like, maybe expand the team for the slower version of the game. Just an idea. More features now, parity later means more features. Another pro of features now is the fact that there are already a lot of to-do features. Think of Minecraft 1.18, or should we say 1.17, as it was originally planned to be. In the 1.17 update, archaeology was going to get added to the game. Archaeology had to get postponed. That's a to-do feature. Another to-do feature, from what seems like a million years ago now, the combat update. Java Edition was getting combat snapshots. Combat is going to be updated eventually on both versions of the game. That's on the list to do. Also on the list to do, all of those biomes that lost the fan votes that are meant to come to the game. I think there's like 4 of them right now. The swamp, a bunch of them. Yeah, and there's like 3 features for every biome. If the developers have cool feature ideas for the update that is happening right now, back to the warden example, let's say they have an idea to make the warden, I don't know, like dance or something. So they have this really cool idea of a dancing warden. It's a completely unique mob. It's pretty sweet. However, they can't get it in because one version of the game, I don't know, they just can't code it or whatever. They can't get it in. So they postpone it. That's another feature on the to-do list of features, which is already very long. I mean, some of these biomes have been on the to-do list for like years now, like since 2018, long time. The idea of postponing features because of parity and putting them on the list, that sounds like a terrible idea to me. I have to be honest. I mean, think of map markers, the sweeping edge enchantment, and spectral arrows. All of those things don't exist on Bedrock Edition, and if we were focusing on parity first, all of those things would not exist at all still on either version of the game. It is definitely a little bit of a bummer when you're playing on one version of the game and you don't have features from the other version of the game that are sweet, like colorful cauldrons. Bummer for sure, but at least the feature exists somewhere, and eventually, hopefully, it makes it to the other version. Adding features now keeps the upcoming feature to-do list a little bit shorter. That's a good thing. A huge pro of adding features to the game right now and then worrying about parity later is feedback. Let's say the developers have implemented the Dancing Warden on Java Edition, but they can't get it in on Bedrock for whatever reason. I don't know why, it's just not there. The community talks about the Dancing Warden and says,
whoa, like this is actually kind of crazy. This shouldn't dance as much or something like that. I really don't know.
Something's wrong with the Dancing Warden. The Java Edition players have time to give feedback to the developers, and by the time it makes it over to Bedrock Edition, it's way better on both versions of the game. They updated on Java, they put the good version on Bedrock Edition. A more real example of this is actually pretty recent. The experimental snapshots the Java Edition was getting. Tons of changes were made in the experimental snapshots. Some of the changes were made and then rolled back, especially when it comes to biome placement, microbiomes, things like that. The Java community actually had time to play with the features, test them out, realize that they're really not the best here, and then the developers could remove them. Bedrock never had to suffer. The Minecraft devs are all about community feedback, adding features first, adjusting them later if there's problems. That is literally the definition of community feedback. Those are the pros. I'm not saying those are all of the pros for either side of the argument, because it's not. There are definitely more pros that you could come up with, but moving on to the cons. Now the cons. This time, one con for each side. We'll start with parities. The biggest con to holding features off to focus on parity is a less filled out update. Minecraft 1.17. When the 1.17 update was getting close to release, some features were actually removed from the update. The skulk sensor, the bundle, and the candles. In the skulk sensor's case, definitely makes sense. I mean, how do you even get the thing in survival? Probably shouldn't be in the update. The bundle, I mean, unless there are things we don't know about it, it just got removed. And then the candle. If you can remember back to the release of 1.17, candles actually made the cut. They were removed from the update, but then added back in one of the pre-releases, just in time for the actual release. At the time, candles weren't finished on Bedrock Edition. It seems like initially the developers were focusing on update parity for Bedrock and Java, and then last second they switched back over to features because candles were finished on Java Edition. Fast forward a couple months, candles are on Bedrock, candles are on Java, everybody's happy. If features are held back from an update for the sake of parity, then they're literally just missing, and the update gets smaller, a little bit less filled out. I'm not sure if this is the exact reasoning for the pushback of the bundle, something that felt pretty close to completion on Java Edition, but if it is, there's the perfect example. Here we are, a couple months after 1.17 drops, and no bundle on either version of the game. For parity. Maybe. The biggest con by far to focusing on features first, parity later, is different updates. Back to 1.17 again, a relatively minor feature, but the candle. On Java, 1.17 had the candle. On Bedrock, 1.17 didn't have the candle. It's a little bit confusing. Imagine that for a larger scale feature, and it gets very, very confusing. If features are prioritized over parity, things get a little bit more confusing. Of course there are more cons, but my take. What do I think? So the answer to this thing isn't easy, and it's not straightforward at all, but I lean towards features first, parity later. When I think about the answer to this question, I think about all of the features that are missing from both versions of the game, but still actually exist in the game. Then I think about features that are meant to come to the game, we just have no clue when they're actually coming. Personally, I think it's a little bit better to see features at least in the game, even if it is on one version of the game, instead of just on a to-do list. Map markers have been on Java Edition and only on Java for the longest time. Colored cauldrons have been on Bedrock and only on Bedrock for the longest time. But they at least exist. In the 1.17 update, finally, a lot of things were added to Java that Bedrock actually had for a while, like lava cauldrons. Personally, I believe if the developers were to begin overly fixating on parity first, features later, then updates would begin to suffer. Things would get pushed back, other things would get cancelled, and updates would be less good. Minecraft, Bedrock, and Java are the same game, but at the same time, they're completely different. They're written in entirely different languages, different things are possible, different things are easier, different things are harder. Personally, I believe adding features to the game first and focusing on parity later, like they've been doing for a long time, is the way to go. But what do you think? Do you think updates should have perfect parity, or do you think updates should have more features, parity later? Let me know down below. I know today's video was a little bit different than the usual, but I hope you enjoyed it. That's just about it for me today though. Leave a like on today's video and subscribe for more videos every single day. Huge shout out to the Diamond Tier patrons, Bill Geek, A Johnson 6494, and Medical Boomstick. I appreciate your support. I will see you all in a brand new video tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Goodbye.